Hi parents, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys have a wonderful day today and a wonderful weekend celebrating. It's been a bit of a crazy day, a beautiful and fun day, but just busy. So I'm gonna try and keep this video, like I always say, short, but actually today I'm gonna keep it short. We have 2 weeks of stuff that I'm just gonna quickly go through, and today's video is just more to give you an idea of what's going on in the classroom and what we've been up to. So let's get started. Last week we had a great week. We looked at 4 different focus bins. We did If the Dinosaurs Came Back. So what the students did was we read a class story, we discussed it, we introduced the who, what, where, when, and why questions, and we've been asking the students those questions to assess and help develop their comprehension, their reading comprehension. And then the students had to reflect on what they would do if the dinosaurs came back. So what they had to do is they had to draw it, and then we scribed for them what they had said. Next focus bin last week was number cards, numbers 1 to 10, and we put them out of order. And what the students had to do is they had to count the number on the domino, so 5, 6, 7, 8, and then find that card and match it to the card. So that was a math center. And this is great because it gives us an idea of the students' ability to recognize not the numeral, to subitize, and that strategy that we just started to teach the kids about counting on or counting up. Then last week we had secret sentences, which I thought the kids did an amazing job on. This was sentences where the kids have to take the image, so a moon, the first sound M, and then write the M, yo-yo Y, and then it creates a message for them that they have to read. Now it's great because these secret sentences are built with a bunch of sight words, so I get to teach the kids sight words as we do it. We're looking at what it means to read, so saying each sound and then blending the words together. And we have quite a few students reading already, so it's really great to see, and they're really into it and really excited about this activity. So that was another bin, and that was a bin that was guided by me, which allowed me to assess their phonemic awareness, which was great. Then bin 4 last week was patterning. We revisited patterning, and I got to assess the students to see where they were at with patterning. And then we looked at creating 3 different type of patterns. So an AB pattern, an AAB patterns, or ABB patterns, and ABC patterns. So I didn't use that language with the students, but those were the 3 examples that we go through. Sound patterns, pattern exemplars on my board, and then most of the kids are able to do those 3 types of patterns, which is wonderful. Both creating, identifying, and extending. Then we also looked at this, and then so those were our bins last week. And then last week it was great. It was an exciting week because we started our Great Barrier Reef inquiry and our sea turtle inquiry. The kids are very into it and we're really excited about it. So we're going to be spending the next few weeks learning about sea turtles and the Great Barrier Reef. And then the kids are going to develop their own questions and begin their own research, which will be exciting. This week our 4 focus bins were as follows. We had a really fun science experiment, well, not really experiment, but science bin this week. And what they had to do with me is that they did the ocean zones. So we looked at the 5 zones of the ocean, so the sunlight zone, twilight zone, midnight zone, the abyss, and the trenches. And we looked at videos, we looked at images on smartboards. I last week did a class example for the students, and then this week they got to be their own scientists, and using test tubes, food coloring, scientist classes, beakers, food coloring, they got to create the zones of the ocean. I'm sorry, I don't have an example for you parents. We dumped them out already. So they went from this, they had to create the zones going from sunlight to the trenches, and then, so I guess there's one too many in there. And then we talked about it. We talked about animals that inhabit these different areas and why certain animals live in different zones of the ocean. For example, the ones who live towards the bottom are bioluminescent, so they glow and they have bigger eyes. And we understand that more animals live in the sunlight to midnight zones of the ocean because that's where there's the most food, the most oxygen, the most light. So they're more adaptive, their bodies are better adapted to live in those areas. So we've talked about all that, and it was so great because by doing a class example on the Friday, the kids already had an idea of what they were supposed to do. So I was able to kind of step back and allow them to completely do this on their own. Of course, I was here guiding it and helping them, but they diluted the water on their own. If it was too dark, they added more. If it was too light, they got to go get their own waters. They set up their own science table. So it was great to see them becoming more independent, and it really gave them the idea of what it means to be a scientist. And then We did the letter T actually. We did the books as a focus bin, are working on our printing, because that was our letter of the week. We go down the slide and across at the top for uppercase, and the same idea down the slide and in the middle for lowercase. So that's 1-2 bins this week. Oh, we did iPads, a game that helps the kids sound out their words, CVC words on the iPad this week, and our last bin, the kids are actually going to be creating their own coral reefs. So they started this week they all got cardboard and they sponge painted it for texture, and we talked about that. Then they got to add sand and salt, and then they got to add their shells. So that was a really fun bin, and slowly we're going to create, I know it's not a coral reef yet, but we're adding elements each week, so by the end they have their coral reef, and it takes time, and we're going to go slow, just like coral reefs develop. So thank you to both Jen and Xandra, because that was a lot of work that they did with each individual kid, because we want the students' work to be their own. We don't want to do it for them. We want them to be proud of it and to do it from start to finish. So slowly each week you'll see how their coral reefs grow. And then it also gives them the opportunity to use different materials, which is a big part of the program of studies. So what else can I talk about? So that was our 4 focus bins this week. Was that 4 I told you? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then with coral reefs, we've been looking very closely at coral reefs. We looked at the Great Barrier Reef and where it was located. We talked about what it looks like from a sky view. We talked about how big it is. We talked about how they begin with how coral reefs develop and begin, and then we looked at images of different corals, because we know that there's both hard coral and soft coral. So the kids are learning lots about coral reefs and the Great Barrier Reef. And then we also started our inquiry on sea turtles, and we started talking about their life cycle. So we're going to keep going with that over the next few weeks. Then, very exciting, this week we did a science experiment as a class, and we actually grew our own crystals as a representation of a coral reef. So it started with just sponges, and then each day we had to add different ingredients: salt, liquid bluing, water, ammonia, food coloring, and eventually it turned into what you see there. And what was great about this is that we did it each day, and the kids, it was very interactive. They came up, they did it themselves. I was just there guiding them as to which steps. We followed along a video, and we watched a video. And then they had an observation sheet that they had to fill out. So we observed it on day 1, day 3, and day 5. And they had to observe and track how it was changing each day. So that was really exciting. And I'm so happy it turned out. We didn't think it was going to turn out, to be honest. So that was that. So we're going to start looking at sea turtles more in depth. Today was Valentine's Day. We had a great day. It was really fun. We did our Valentine's Day centers. We did a morning message. We did a lot of occupational therapy work. So lots of cutting and gluing, oil pastels, tracing. These are works done by students. We also did beading. That was the favorite bin, I think, this week, or today. They did beading necklaces, friendship necklaces, and bracelets. They had colored pink, purple, and red Play-Doh. They also did words around the room. They had a special Valentine's Day Write the Room. And then I think that was it for their focus bins. Not focus bins, that was just their free play today. And then we had a great party. Lots of food, so thank you, parents. Thank you for being so generous, and thank you for those who went over and above to bring extra food and to volunteer and to ask. It was great to see so many parents who were willing to do that, so thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and I know how busy you guys are, so thank you. We're very excited to start next week. We're going to look at the letter U. Just a reminder, there is no school on Monday as it's Family Day long weekend. Another reminder, we have field trips coming up, for the AMs, the in class one, for the PMs, the in class one, as well as West Edmonton Most. So please bring in your money so we can reconcile those forms and get them off. Obviously not yet, like you do have lots of time, but just a friendly reminder. And then I think that's it. I'm sorry I spoke so fast and I went through a lot, but I find that each week as the kids get more independent and older, we get to do so much with them, so it's really hard to try and include everything in detail, because then the video does run quite long. So thank you parents. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week.